I'm Midge Shoemaker, and this is week 20 of my doing 100 weeks of YouTube videos and focusing on living a healthier and happier life. Yay! Okay, so I have been noticing that I talk really fast. Not that I haven't been told that before. When I had braces when I was a teenager, my biological mom used to call me a metal motor mouth, which I can't say fast because it always comes out funky. So I've noticed that my pronunciation gets, I don't know the word, muffled, mumbled, messed up, twisted. It comes out funky when I talk really fast. So I'm going to try to slow down just a little bit. And I know I have been terrible at making my videos, and I haven't been posting my videos because I thought my friend was going to edit them and post them for me, and she hasn't been doing that either. So I might just start posting them until I can edit them myself. Just go back to what I was doing before, just to get myself to make my videos. It gives me accountability knowing they're being published, so I may just do that today. Anyway, so for this week, I'm going to try to sum up a few things, if I can read. I think my eyesight's going. I need to go see a ophthalmologist. I might need to get bifocals. I don't want to be that old, but I've had bad eyesight my whole life, so I can't say anything about it. Okay, so social things this week. I have not been very good about reaching out to people on a daily basis. I need to be a lot better at doing that. However, there have just been a lot of things going on. I had my writing group had a party on Wednesday night, which I went to. I actually talked to my friend that's been editing my book for me. And I got her to print some stuff out for me, some Christmas present poem things that I did. So I talked to her a couple of times. I went to the ward. My church had a Christmas party on Saturday morning that I went to. And then I did my cleaning Friday night. And the crazy thing is we had no volunteers to come clean the temple Friday night. So this isn't really a social thing. This is more a physical thing and more of I'm just super happy because since my car accident, I haven't really felt like I could push a broom or a mop or vacuum or something when I've been cleaning the temple. I just always stick to really light cleaning stuff. Not that I ever like cleaning anything, period. But anyway, so Friday night, there were no other volunteers, so it was just kind of me and the custodial workers, and they were kind of nice and did like what they normally do and split everybody up into sections for the couple of hours to clean. So I had like 2 areas to clean, and I had to like basically mop the floor for just 2 areas instead of just one that I normally do with like 3 to 4 volunteers. So you can imagine how much more there was to do with just me. And normally you do like mop and then dry, and I was just mopping and not drying anything. But I did it, and other than like, a little stiff muscle from like using muscles I'm not used to using, it wasn't actually causing me extra pain, because before it would trigger all of the injuries like from my shoulder from the car accident, and my collarbone would hurt really bad, and my neck would hurt, and my head would hurt, and I'd get all dizzy, and it didn't do any of that. So it just kind of showed me that I've healed an awful lot since my car accident, which makes me so happy. So I was just kind of happy about that. Anyway, my little side note, other random side note, not sure that has anything to do with social things, just has to do with random side notes, because my older sister this past year or 2 has been posting stuff on Facebook about ADHD, and I've probably mentioned in a few videos that I wonder if I have ADHD. So I finally went to see the nurse practitioner and got tested for ADHD, which apparently I now have. Well, not I now have, apparently I've been officially diagnosed with having ADHD, so I can now say that I have it instead of I just wonder if I have it or I have tendencies to be ADHD. And I don't know enough about ADHD to know all of the symptoms and things, but I'm pretty sure that talking in circles like I do And I know my sister does. It's an ADHD thing where you start one conversation and you go something else to something else, and somehow you wind up back where you started again. So I'm very good at doing that in conversations. I'm pretty sure I do that in videos, but I'm pretty sure it loses people like my younger sister that does not have ADHD, and she's aware that she does not, because she's like, I can't multitask. I can't do stuff like this. I can't this. And I was like, and then I finally realized it's because everybody else has ADHD and I don't. And I was like, I'm not sure if she's a lucky one or not, because in seeing the ADHD diagnosis, I decided to try some ADHD medication. And I gotta say, I think I like my ADHD brain better than my medicated ADHD brain. I'm not sure that makes sense, but I've only been on it for a little over a week, so it's really hard to tell how much of a difference there is. I have noticed some positive things, like it's a lot easier for me to just turn the TV off and to turn off games and things on my phone and to just, do the stuff that I think that I should be doing, instead of sitting around going, I should do this, I should do this, I should turn this off, and then time just disappears. So I'm better able to be aware of time passing, and I'm better able to just focus on one thing or to let go of something and move on to something else without being like hyper focused or super distracted. Like I've noticed at work that I can stop something in the middle of it and then I can go right back to it, and I'm not totally lost or confused, and I don't have to do like 20 other things before I can get back to the one thing and go, I was doing something with this. What was I doing with this? Let me tell you, I've done that a lot of times, and I miss a lot of things because I forget to go back for them. So it helps me to remember to go right back to what I was doing instead of going on to something else until I'm finished with what I was doing. So it does have its perks, but I've also noticed that when I try to do multiple things at the same time, and I'm gonna just admit my lazy, crazy, whatever, but I'm like, I could daydream, play a game on my phone, and watch a TV show all at the same time, and I'm like at least a third aware of what's going on and everything that I'm doing. So I always have like 2 or 3 things going on in my brain or that I can do at the same time. And now I struggle to play a game on my phone at the same time I'm watching a show on TV. And I was like, well, what the heck is with that? I can't multitask when I'm taking ADHD medication, and I kind of don't like that. Or I can't daydream and do other things, which I've done before, because it distracts me from what I'm doing. So I have to focus on one thing at a time and be aware that there might be other things going on, but my focus has to be on one thing. And I don't know that it's ever been on one thing before. So this is my, yes. So, and I know this is totally distracting from my talking about social things and cleaning in the temple and all of those things. So I didn't forget I had to go back to that. Like I said, medication is not 100%. Plus, I didn't take my medication yesterday because, I didn't take it yesterday because I ate stuff I shouldn't have on Friday. I know I'm jumping straight to the body stuff because that works. I have learned that if I eat things like I didn't eat before, like over a year ago, it's been a year since I've eaten a bunch of junk food and things. And not that it's been an entire year, because I know I cheat and I eat stuff and do things, but there's some stuff that I haven't had. And I was stuck at the dealership for like 2 hours on Friday while they were replacing a part in my car, which was great. And I'm grateful they fixed it, replaced it. It's fantastic. But it took 2 hours. So I didn't have anything else to do. And I was sitting there thinking about all the other things that I wish I could be doing. And normally I just daydream and play on my phone and I could entertain myself. And I couldn't entertain myself because I was stuck focusing on one thing at a time. And I was basically sitting around in dealership focusing on waiting for my car. And I didn't really like that very much. So one of the reasons I kind of don't like the ADHD medication, because I was like, I would like to focus on other things. But I ate some things that I should not have eaten because they had a bunch of snacks in there and I was bored and there was food and I was hungry because I went right after work. So I hadn't had lunch. I hadn't eaten since breakfast. So I'm hungry and there's food and I'm there for 2 hours. So yeah, and some of it wasn't like horrible. Like it was just like they had some those bars, granola bar things. They have wheat in them, and I usually try to stay away from the wheat flour. Not because I don't like it, just because it makes the roof of my mouth sore every time I eat wheat. It didn't used to do that when I was younger, but it does now. And so I think maybe my body's just developed an intolerance to it. And apparently I haven't stayed away from it long enough for the intolerance to go away. So it was making the roof of my mouth sore. And then, of course, they had like the little cinnamon bears. I love the cinnamon bears. But I think they also had wheat in them, and they had sugar in them, which I haven't been doing, like sugar. So there was all kinds of sugar in them. And then the absolute worst one was the oatmeal cream cookies. And I used to eat those all the time when I lived with my grandma when I was in my 20s. That was 20 years ago. And had them occasionally since, but they're just all junk. And I think they have a little bit of milk in them too, which I'm allergic to. So I got down to the last bite and I was like, this is just so sick and it's just making me sick and I should not even eat it. But I made myself eat it, which is just dumb. But I should have just thrown it away. I should not have eaten it in the first place. But it was a nostalgia thing, and it reminded me of being with my grandma, and I was bored for 2 hours. So I ate it. And then I wasn't feeling very good. And then it turns out that this ADHD medication that I'm taking actually upsets my stomach. It makes me feel nauseous all the time, which I don't like. So I'm debating. I don't know if I take it long enough, if my body will just adjust to it and I'll stop getting nauseous all the time, or if I'm just going to feel nauseous all the time taking it. So like I said, I've only taken it for a little over a week. So I'm still trying to figure out how much of an effect it's having, and if it's helping more than it's hurting, then it might outweigh the discomfort. But if I'm going to be nauseous and not wanting to eat food all the time, that's not a good thing, because I have spent the past year trying to get myself to eat food regularly, to eat healthy snacks, to take care of my body. And if I'm not eating, I don't have energy, and that's not good. And then my body thinks it's starving itself, and then I start gaining weight instead of losing weight. I know how this cycle works because I have a tendency to not eat, especially when I'm depressed. And so I just don't eat. And then I start craving junk food. I've been craving sweets, and I don't usually crave sweets. And so I'm just really frustrated with that too. I also think part of the craving the sweets is that I got my lab results back. So for a whole year of doing all of this, there's a little disappointment there, because my AC1 went from 6.4 to 6.2, and I was kind of hoping it would drop a little bit lower. But in all honesty, I wasn't focused on my AC1 numbers because I'm still in the pre-diabetic range, not the diabetic range. And my cholesterol was the one that was at 225, which is too high. And that was the one they wanted to put me on medication for. So with my diet, I'm just going to go with diet, because as much as I'd like to say and exercise, I haven't done a whole lot of exercising. I've done a little bit, but not a whole lot. But with my little bit of exercise and my change in diet, my cholesterol has actually gone from 225 to 192. And 199 is supposed to be under 199. So 199 or lower. So it's within normal range now, which makes me super happy. Now, technically, that 199 is a combination of the HDL and the LDL. And I do not remember for the life of me which is the good and which is the bad and which is the higher, which is the lower. I don't know. But the good one, if it's the LDL or the HDL, I don't remember. The low number for me has always been in the teens or the 20s. And apparently it's supposed to be 50 or higher. And mine's at 35. So it's still too low, but it's a whole lot higher than it's been, which makes me very happy. And which also means that the other one, the high one, number one, the not so good cholesterol, is too high. I'm not really sure what the number on that is or where it's supposed to fall. I don't remember. Somewhere in my messy house, I have the labs that I could look at, but I don't have them with me. So the balance that they add up, because those two numbers, the HDL and the LDL, add together, and that equals my 192. So if I wanted to do math, which I don't, I can tell you what the other one is. ADHD brain wants to do math. I apologize, because then I'm like, it's 35. You just subtract 35 from 192. How hard is that? It's not. It's 157. So that's math. I think it's 157. Somebody can check my math for me if you want to. That's fine. But anyway, it's obviously supposed to be at least 15 lower than that. So I guess it's supposed to be like 142 or something. 140. I'm not really sure exactly where it's supposed to be. But anyway, so maybe it's supposed to be like 150. I don't know. Because it has to be 199. So anything under 199 is still within normal range. But I'm just like, my numbers are a lot closer to where they're supposed to be, even if they're not within normal range separately, but together they're in normal range. So that makes me happy. And they're closer to where they're supposed to be as far as, the last year that I've taken them. So that makes me super happy. Plus, all the past times that I've had my cholesterol done over the last 10 to 20 years, my cholesterol has actually been sitting around 205 until last year when it was 225. So the fact that it's 192 is probably the best that it's been in like 20 years. So even though my PA was like, you need to exercise more and keep up with the diet because your numbers are still not where they're supposed to be. And I was like, are you freaking kidding me? This is the best my cholesterol has been my entire adult life. I am like through the roof elated about this. So then, of course, I want to celebrate, and I want to celebrate by eating things that I should not be eating. Hence the craving for junk food, sweet tooth, whatever. But I've noticed that when I eat stuff that I should not be eating, I get all bloated and constipated, and I just don't feel good. And it's like, I used to live my life that way every single day, all the time, and that was my norm. And now my norm is completely different as far as physically like eating food. And I look at food that they bring in sweets and candies and cookies at work, and I look at that, I'm like, I want that so much. And then I think, oh, that is going to upset my tummy so bad. It's not even worth it. And right now I'm taking medication that makes me feel nauseous anyway. So the idea of eating anything else that upsets my tummy, I was like, not happening. So the reason I didn't take medication yesterday, did not forget that one, it's because I ate junk food on Friday, so my stomach was already upset. And then I took my medication before I ate food. Usually I eat food and then I take my medication. Like I eat breakfast and then I take my medication and then I go to work, is what I do, or to church or to whatever. But I always eat it after my breakfast, after there's food in my stomach, because I know my tummy doesn't like medication on an empty stomach. But there was breakfast at the Word Christmas party, and they're like, come and eat. So breakfast is at 10 o'clock. So I take my medication at 5 to 10. It's like a 2-minute drive to the church building. It's a 5-minute walk if I was not too lazy to walk, but I was too lazy, and it was too cold. It's too cold. So I drove over there, and they didn't serve breakfast until like 10:30. And if I'd have known that, I would have eaten something else, or I would have waited and taken my medication after the party. But I got really nauseous and sick to my stomach, and then I didn't eat very well the rest of Saturday, and I was just so sick to my stomach Sunday. I was like, I'm not doing this. I'm not eating any food. I'm not doing anything. So the combination of eating junk food on Friday and taking medication that makes me nauseous on an empty stomach was enough for me to be like, I'm not taking it. So I didn't take it yesterday just because I needed to give my tummy a break, because my tummy was mad at me. So I took it again today, and I talked to my PA briefly. So anyway, but we'll see how that goes. I'll let you know in the upcoming weeks what I decide to do with this ADHD medication. Maybe you'll notice a difference in my videos, starting with the fact that I'm making a video. Woo! So back to my socialization. That was it. I went to the temple Saturday. I did church Sunday. I didn't really do anything else. I went to my 12-step meeting on Sunday. I went to family dinner on Sunday. So I did some things. I tried to do some things. I did not do some other things. I had people at work actually like say hi to me, which was nice. And someone even offered, asked if I wanted to order from Starbucks like everybody else does. And that's the first time in like 5 months since I've been there they've ever asked if I wanted anything. And I was like, that's really nice of them. Of course, I didn't want anything. And then I didn't think about it until afterwards. And I was like, oh, maybe I should have got something. But I didn't. So that's okay. It's probably better I wasn't spending my money on things I can't afford anyway. But it was nice of them to ask. So, emotional. I've been an emotional mess. I have not been very good at journaling. I have not been very good at reading my scriptures and meditationals. I go in spurts, and right now, the last week or so, I've just been lucky to like read a chapter or half a chapter of my scriptures in the morning, and I haven't been maybe every other day praying to see how God sees me. So my emotions have been all over the place, and so it's not, and it's the holiday season coming up, and I don't know if that plays a role in it. I don't know if it's just because it's so cold and it's dark outside and that plays a role in it. I haven't, I don't know what to do about my, and I don't know if this medication I'm taking is adding to my depression and my emotional stuff, or what it's doing. Maybe it's just making it hard for me to not focus on my emotions, and I like to run away and hide from them. So I'm not entirely sure, but not doing a very good job with the emotional thing. Plus, I did something really scary. So I'm really anxious, and I'm trying not to be anxious, but I will probably be anxious for a very long time because I did something scary. So I submitted, with the help of my editing friend, I submitted my book, The Lanoia and the Teachers of Powers, to a publishing company. But it's during the period where they are accepting or accepted unsolicited manuscripts, which means you don't have to have an agent to represent you. You don't have to know somebody to get your manuscript submitted. You can just submit, and they will accept it, and they will look at it. Now, how much they will look at, I don't know, because I still had to do a query letter or cover letter, which is basically like a query letter saying, this is why my book is, this is who I am, this is what my book is about, and this is why you should read it. Then I give a synopsis of the book, and then the entire manuscript had to be submitted as well. So if they like the query letter, they will read, from my understanding, from what my editing friend told me, I don't know how accurate that is, but if they like the query letter, they'll read the synopsis. If they like the query letter and the synopsis, they'll read the book. If they don't like your query letter, they kind of usually won't go on to the rest of it. So if they don't have a good synopsis, then they're not going to spend the time reading the book. And if anything in the query letter or the synopsis isn't what they think they're looking for as far as writing goes, or as far as what they're looking to publish, they won't publish your book. They won't read your book to even determine if it fits their criteria, if it doesn't fit their criteria in the query letter and or the synopsis. So lots of things that I'm not familiar with in doing, and kind of going away from the idea of self-publishing. But it did get my friend to edit my book, which she hasn't been doing for months, and I haven't been bugging her for months. So it makes me happy that it's like edited. There were still some minor edits and other things that probably could have done to fix it and fine tune it a little bit, but overall, I think it was pretty good when I submitted it, and I'm hoping if they accept it, they accept it. So I'm trying to convince myself, because they're nice in their little thing when you submit it. They basically say, if we reject it, it's not necessarily because it's not a good story, it's just not what we're looking for right now. Or it means that they didn't like your query letter or your synopsis because you didn't describe it in a way that intrigued them. So lucky me. I don't know, because they also tell you it takes 12 to 16 weeks before you get a response, which is hence the anxiety for a really, really long time. More emotional drama that I don't need in my life, but I will now have, which will raise my blood pressure, which the ADHD medication may also raise my blood pressure, which has been borderline high because I have too much stress and anxiety in my life, and I don't exercise enough to lower it, and I don't get enough sleep. So, and I'm overweight. So all not good things. And I told the PA, I said, I don't want to take medication for side effects of medication. So if this medication is going to raise my blood pressure, I'm going to stop taking the medication because I'm not taking more medication. If it keeps upsetting my stomach, I'm probably not going to keep taking the medication either. But anyway, I don't know and I won't know. I know they said sometimes they might ask you to revise and resubmit. That means they like it. It has potential, but you need to work on it, work out some kinks before they publish it. Or they'll just say, hey, we like your book and we're going to publish it for you. I'm not sure which one of those I'm actually hoping for, because part of me wants to just publish it and say, screw waiting for that time. And the other part of me is like, well, they already know what they're doing when it comes to publishing it and they can just do it. So I don't have to figure out all that stuff. So I'm kind of torn betwixt the two, but I'm hoping that regardless of what happens, I will actually get a book published this next year. That is my hope. But I've been saying that for years and I still haven't published a book, and I've been sitting on this book for years and just hasn't been published. So I'm hoping it will be. Physically, I think I pretty much already randomly talked about that amongst everything else. So there are a couple other things I would like to mention physically. My scale has gone down just a little bit. I am now under 240, which makes me happy. I'm like 239. I think when I weighed myself Friday, I was 239. When I weighed myself Saturday, I was 236. So I'm not sure what's going on with scales there. Little confused with that one. But of course, I think Saturday's a better day to weigh myself because I get more sleep on Saturdays, whereas Fridays I don't. So I think when I sleep more, I weigh less. I don't know if that makes any sense at all, but I think my body just processes things. I'm more relaxed and I don't know. Anyway, maybe that's just my imagination, but my weight always seems to be better when I get a good night's sleep than when I don't. So I'm pretty sure the amount of sleep and the amount of exercise I get has a direct link or bearing on my weight. And that's just, noticing experimentally myself from standing on the scales on different days and things like that. So, and maybe that's just my imagination. Maybe that works for other people. I don't know. If anybody has some scientific proof you want to back that up for me, that would be fantastic. If you want to all tell me how crazy I am, that's okay too. I will probably still think that I get better weight when I sleep better. Anyway, that is, yes, that is that. That was the thing I was thinking. Sorry. So I have lost a little bit of weight. I can now fit into my jeans that I bought, I don't know, like 5 years ago when I went to my grandma's funeral. They're still a little tight when I sit down in them, but when I stand up, they're kind of a little bit loose around my waist. So not quite sure where I'm at with that, but they're tight in my thighs too. So I'm like, but they fit and they're stretchy pants and I don't have to wear the too big shorts that are falling off of me and have holes in them. So I'm hoping to shrink out of these jeans before they start falling apart and having holes in them too. But I'm excited to be at least a size smaller. Plus something that I just have to say, I can reach my feet. I am not a flexible person, so I have had to feel like a contortionist to try to tie my shoes, and I can now have my foot flat on the floor and bend over and tie my shoe without having to put it up on my tippy toes or put it up on a chair or twist my legs and arms around to try to get to it to tie my shoes. I can just bend over and tie my shoes. So I'm super happy about that, which is crazy little things, but they make me happy and it helps me to see that I'm making progress, at least with my weight. Even if I'm not making progress in all the other areas, I would like to be making progress. So spiritually, I think I probably glossed over that just a little bit. But I did go to church, I did go to the temple, but I have been struggling to journal. I have been struggling to read my scriptures and meditationals. So I just kind of ramble in my prayers like I ramble in my videos. And I don't always listen and ask for guidance like I probably should be. And I keep thinking of all the things I should be doing to make me spiritually feel closer to God, and then I just don't do them. So I still kind of feel like I'm at this point or this barrier where it's like God is offering me all these gifts and all of these blessings in my life. And I was like, okay, but are you sure I'm the right person for those? Are you sure I deserve that? And then part of me is like, okay, so maybe I do deserve that, but I'm still not sure I'm the right person for that. And the other part of me is like, I'm not really sure what to do with that, because I know I've had really wonderful blessings and things in my life in the past, but I've spent so much of my life focusing on the negative and all the things that I haven't had, that I struggle to just feel like I'm worthy of, or that I can have something better. Or I'm so afraid of every time, like so many times in my life, not every time, but a lot of times in my life, it just seems like when something is going well in my life, that I'm just always waiting for the proverbial shoe to drop, the other shoe to drop, or for the rug to be pulled out from underneath of me. Like everything's going great and then it all gets taken away. It all just falls apart for no apparent reason. And I focus so much on all the times that things have fallen apart that I forget about the times where things actually worked out. I struggle to remember the times where things actually worked out, but they worked out a lot of times in my life. Like when I dropped out of school to become a nanny, and I literally went on one interview and got a job as a nanny, and I had so much backlash, like, you can't do this, why are you doing this, and da 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 da, you can't drop out of school, you'll never go back, you'll never this, and it was terrible. And then I did it, and I was a nanny, and it was probably one of the best jobs that I've ever had. But I was like 20 at the time. I still ended up going back to school and getting a degree, and I still have no idea what I want to do with my life. Well, I kind of know. I want to make my YouTube videos. I want to write my books. I want to be a published author. But I don't know that I can ever make money, or not a lot of money, off of doing that. So then it's kind of like, well, what do I want to do to make money to support my hobbies on the side, or things that I enjoy with my life? And I have no idea. But I am learning and recognizing it's been like 10 years since I've had an office job. And now I know why I haven't had an office job, because I don't do well in office jobs. I'm not a morning person. I have a good job and I work with wonderful people, and I have to keep reminding myself of that, because I'm not a morning person. I don't like getting up in the morning. I don't like being on phones. There's so many things about my job. I'm just like, oh, I have to remember the positive, or I will go insane trying to do this job. So this is why I struggle with jobs. This might also have something to do with the ADHD thing. So another reason why I want the medication, because I'm hoping it will help me do better at my job. And maybe if I feel like I'm doing better at my job, I will make it easier to keep my job and be able to pay my bills. And my bishop mentioned on Saturday that maybe I should get a job cleaning the temple. And I was like, okay, thanks. They don't have any openings right now, which I'm okay with. But he's like, if you ever change your mind, let me know. And I'm like, okay. I don't like cleaning my own house. I like doing it as a service missionary, but I don't know that I want to do that for a living. Well, I'm going to be perfectly honest. Don't really want to do that for a living. So mentally, paying attention to the fact that I have ADHD, paying attention to my weird little quirks, trying to figure out if the medication I'm taking is working or not, and submitted a book. I'm working on making Christmas presents for people, doing little Christmas poems, so kind of creating things, being creative, attempting to do little things like that. Wishing I was more of those things, or doing more of them, but I'm going to be grateful for the